Welcome to WACSUN Weekly. WACSUN Weekly is the official Western Athletic and ASUN Conference podcast of FCS Fans Nation. WACSUN Weekly is hosted by Dustin Helton, Brandon Owens, and Will Seiler.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, The Rev. Will, unfortunately, is late because he had to appease his fiance. But in the absence of Will, we have some greatness with us. Besides Brandon Owens, as you all know, we have from the B team, Brendan Luedtke, or Luedtke, or Luedtke, or very long password on your iPhone. Brendan, how you doing, man?
Good, glad to be here. I'm excited you guys have a live. You guys are always jumping on ours, so when I said I'd jump on yours, I didn't think it meant this, but this is awesome. This is even better.
Yep, and we had a comment 30 minutes ago from Kyler, so thanks, Kyler. Hopefully you're here now instead of just talking trash. Awesome. Well, let's get into it. I'm trying to scroll back, and there we go. I was trying to get back to the thing I sent you guys. So
we talked a lot today. So
we really did. I will tell you, our tech stuff is pretty long, and also for any of you live, or I guess everybody's watching this on YouTube, my bibs look really great on Brendan in the picture. I don't know if you guys.
They look fantastic. Well, I'm normally wearing bibs anyway, so it works. I almost wore them for this.
There he is, Kyler. I appreciate
Rev's
that. Awesome. Well, guys, as we go live, add your drop in questions, comments, anything you want to ask. We're gonna kind of go through last week's games. In the middle, Brandon does have his updated bracketology for the last week of the season. And
it's the last one for us.
Yep. And you can obviously feel free to crap all over that if you want to. And then we'll talk about some of the games next week. Really, there's only two games that really matter within the conference, and those will be both our game of the weeks. But let's just scroll through the scores real quick. Appalachian State, I just started to read.
Oh my God!
Wow! Yes, you guys need the live all the time. This is the best.
Every time I see APSU, I by default from years. Sorry, Austin P defeated Kennesaw State 31-14. Jacksonville State did everyone in the ASUN a favor and beat up on Eastern Kentucky 42-17. The Fighting Will Seilers beat up on my team 34-7, but I won by drinking all the liquor we had, so I think that's a win there. Tennessee Tech beat Northern Alabama 35-27. Abilene Christian throttled a very lifeless Sam Houston team 45-28, and that game is not as close as that score indicates. Southern Utah defeated Lincoln, who nobody's ever heard of besides SFA because we played them last year, but it was 55-0. And Utah Tech took out Tarleton State 34-28. Brendan, I bet you didn't watch any of these games.
No, I didn't have a chance. Normally, my Sunday afternoon is busy with that, but we were running around with the kiddo, and then work got dump trucked on me, so I didn't get a chance to watch any of the whack-off games or the ASUN games. So I'm lost on these guys, and I apologize for that.
That's okay. Well, Brandon, why don't you? I know you were at the JSU game because it was Southerners reunion weekend and all that jazz. So how was that game for you?
Very cold, extremely cold. People in Alabama are not used to anything below 55 degrees. So
what was the temperature?
54.
Eventually, it got to about 52 and kind of stayed there the rest of the game. But JSU played really, really well. I think this is the best they have played all season. And it just made it that much better because we don't have really nothing to play for. And we're only playing for a 9-2 record at best. So I'm hoping that Hi, Jamie. I'm hoping that we don't mess up next week, but we will get into that. and a lot of the alumni did not go back out on the field at post game after Southerners performed because it was too cold. I could not feel my fingers, so I was like, I'm not going back out there.
That's sad. I mean, it was just as cold in Nacogdoches, and we still were out on the field. Well, we were at field level for our stuff, But I guess it helped because we got to drink a whole bunch.
I did not.
It's a miracle you two survived.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about Will and just how hammered he got because he's not here to defend himself. But man, no, I'm just kidding. Will actually stayed very well behaved. Also, CW was there, so shout out to CW if you're watching this. Absolute legend. He actually took the picture that you can kind of see the background around. I guess we can talk about the SFA Central Arkansas game, although there's not much to talk about because Central Arkansas completely boat raced us. SFA looked lost on offense. I mean, UCA did what everybody expected them to do, which is run the ball on them. Kylan James went for 155 yards on the ground. I think total they went for 220, I think, on the ground against us. So just about what everybody expected to see. Trey Self looked like crap, and honestly, it's time to let Brian Maurer start because he will be our starting quarterback next year. He's a Tennessee transfer, and he can actually throw the ball real well. Big dude also. So next week is going to be real important because there's basically 2 conference championship games that are happening, and we'll touch on those when we get to the game of the week. I think another game that I guess didn't surprise me, but kind of did was Abilene Christian beating up on Sam Houston. I think part of that too is just that Sam Houston's they've just phoned it in for the year. They redshirted half their starters, and they're getting ready for that Wednesday Conference USA action that they're going to get on ESPN next year.
Hey,
I don't think that's I get that you're happy about it. It's funny that Jabari Jones, who I'm halfway surprised isn't watching this because he's gone on every other podcast and asked about this CUSA TV contract. So Jabari, just to save you, it sucks. That's not a good contract. I mean, if you want to get smaller schools like Sam or JSU or Kennesaw State to be excited about it, then that's it. But if you want to get some big dogs into your conference, you guys, we've always heard we want to get you NDSU or we want to get SCSU or we want to get Delaware. Like I know the NDSU contract is so much fucking better than that contract, and I imagine SCSU's is the exact same because of local TV rights and things like that. So that's not a good contract, and playing on Wednesdays isn't the boon that you think it's going to be. You're just going to be featured on empty seats galore on Twitter every week. The exception to this is Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, they at least have a decent enough fan base that they will be there. Their students will be there, but good job.
That's why I'm excited because we're going to show up no matter what. So that's what I'm most excited about, that TV deal, and we will have a much better student turnout if we have weekday games, like games during the week.
Yeah, even if it's 52 degrees.
Yeah,
Actually, I want to address something from Chris Hammond calling the Southerners soft. Your team
excuse me. Yes, let's put this.
Your team plays in the dome. You don't get to say that.
Exactly.
You play inside. You don't get to say that to anybody. You're just as soft. You had to build a roof to hide from actual football. So you just stay in your little dome and leave him alone. I'll make fun of him for us.
You play in half of a beer can.
Even though us Southerners hate the cold, we endure it when it comes to marching band because we have an outdoor stadium. You have an indoor stadium. So shush.
Yeah, both Idahos. I mean, the only team in Idaho, I guess, who's got a set is Boise State. I guess the best team in Idaho who
or as Chris likes to call them, Boise State Junior College.
Yes. Oh my God! You went there on him, huh?
Tried to slag off my podcast partner. You're gonna get it from me, like.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh Lord.
Oh man. Let's see. I'm looking at these other games that Austin Peay didn't surprise anybody with that score. Tennessee Tech told you they would beat Northern Alabama, as Brendan likes to call them, because he can't read their logo. But I mean, so Northern Alabama is, I'm trying to think, who would be the MVFC equivalent of a team that is so close to winning but just can't do it?
It would have been USD last year and probably this year. thinking like a Southern Illinois who's just been close, or Illinois State who had a couple close games but just let it slip away every time.
Yeah, they just don't have the just it's I don't know what's missing. It's a certain je ne sais quoi, if you will, because they have the pieces. They don't have a bad team. I guess now they need a coach, but their interim coach has still done okay. Like, so maybe getting somebody new behind at the helm next year will help them. But
UNA could have a winning record right now.
Yeah, they really could. Like,
that's the sad thing. They could have a winning record and possibly be on the bubble for playoffs.
Yep. Oh my God.
Yes,
Becky,
sir.
look who finally showed up.
Look at his butt.
Look at his butt.
What's up?
It's about time. Jeez.
Hey, man. Sorry, duty calls.
Is Bailey still mad at you, or are you okay for now?
No, we're good. Sugar Bears won. Stretched it out. We're good.
All right. Well, we basically talked about all the games that mattered last week. We already talked about the UCA game. But do you have anything you want to add from your trip to Nacogdoches this past weekend?
First of all, thanks for having us down. It was a great time. I had a great time at the game. Suite was very cool. The tents on the other end were really cool. A lot of good people there at SFA, and I had a good time watching UCA dominate. So it was a good time. I know Rev was. I don't know how many times. Yeah, I don't know how many times I got the middle finger from Rev, but we had a great time. So
yeah, we won't lie. We were in our tent, and then we went out to the alumni side because their tent was on the north side of the stadium. Their crate, I guess you could say, so it blocked the wind because the wind was still blowing pretty good, and so it was nice and warm. And scoped out some free drinks, and I think UCA scored right in front of there also, and then we might have been there long enough for SFA to drop that ball in the end zone. I think we were still over there whenever that happened too, like right in front of us.
we were there.
I don't know. I at that point I'd had half a bottle of tequila and probably half a liter and a half of that champagne. So,
dude, it was cold.
Oh, I would be gone at that point. I would be gone.
Dude, it was freezing.
It surprisingly was really cold. Like
I did not wear. No, okay, Brendan, I understand South Dakota is colder than East Texas, but at the end of the game, a little bit. But at the end of the game, when it was 37 degrees, and I was in like wind pants and a thin hoodie, I was cold. I'm not used to that.
You got to dress right for those games, boys. Like that's what I'm getting from all this is you guys don't know how to dress for the cold.
I wore bibs. I wore a quarter zip. That was a fleece quarter zip, and I had a jacket from when the sun went down. So I was fine. I actually felt great. And then we had a propane heater in there too, which was kind of awesome.
That was nice.
I dressed.
You had a propane heater in the cold?
I mean, I didn't stand near it a lot of time, but those guys, I mean, it was right there. You could have got it. And I also brought hot hands for everybody to keep their hands warm.
Hey, you got to have the hot hands. That's clutch.
Yeah, I dressed appropriately, but I missed putting something a little bit more thick under my pants because that's why I was super, super cold. My legs were easily getting cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think it's supposed to be like 39 degrees for the UCA game this weekend, so
kind of glad I'm not going now.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to be warm.
You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you what you got to do right now?
Give us the key.
Okay, you have a pair of like Under Armour long johns, a pair of sweatpants, a pair of jeans over the top of that. And then if you have them, bibs over the top of that. Then you do a long sleeve t-shirt, a flannel, or a hoodie with another hoodie over the top of that. And
I don't know that my brain can remember all of that. You're gonna have to like write that down.
Layers.
Yeah, it's all about
layers gradually getting thicker as they go out.
That's
all it is. Like Ariel, or do what Ariel did. Run down to. I know you're in college still, though, right? So this might be tougher. But run down to where they sell Milwaukee tools and buy a heated jacket, and then they're actually buy the heated hoodie, so it's next to your body, and then throw a jacket over the top as a windbreaking layer. And then you're good.
Okay.
That might have been a bit of overkill for a 49-degree kickoff.
Yes. Well, but yeah, by a lot. But you can turn it on later. If the cold's killing you, whether it doesn't matter if it's 50 degrees and it's cold to you, or if it's 10 degrees and it's cold to you. That's how you got to go about it.
You hear that, Chris Hammond?
It was 19 degrees at the end of the game for the Jacks game, and Ariel was sweating.
Yeah, she says 25 degrees, but you know, I don't know. Well, I mean, still, to
Shout
me,
out
like,
for even listening to this.
yeah, shout out Ariel. Looking
Oh
forward
yeah,
to
she's
look forward to seeing you in Frisco. She listens to Brendan all the time.
yeah, she would be
just in podcasts. The rest of the time,
if
we
I
just go
wasn't
way
at the
around.
other end of the house, you'd hear her screaming at you guys about being cold in that weather. She'd be mocking you right now. My wife would be just ridiculing you. I promise she is in the bedroom right now mocking you guys.
Boy, I can't wait for Frisco. She's gonna mock us if we show up and it's like it was last year, 50 and raining, and we're all bundled up. I mean, some of us went tarps off in the end zone, but other folks were
Got
complaining
to
it
do
was
what you
cold.
got to do. Yep.
All right. Look, I was gonna say there's not much left to talk about from last week, but I do want to point out one other game. So Utah Tech defeats Tarleton. Utah Tech, surprisingly, if the scenario worked out right, could actually finish second in the WAC, which not bad for a transitioning team that went 1-10 last year and got just destroyed by everybody that played.
I'm glad they beat Tarleton. I still butthurt at them, so I'm glad that they did it.
Yeah, well, Tarleton thinks they're going to go FBS, and they're not. Nobody likes you. No, you can't sit here, basically. That's what Conference USA said to you, Tarleton fans. You can't sit here.
Well, what I find impressive about Utah Tech is they started 1-6, and they've won their past 3. Like, who would have thought Utah Tech, a transitioning team, would beat SFA, Southern Utah, and then a really good Tarleton team in back-to-back weeks?
I'll give you 2 of those, but Southern Utah, I might have been, if they were going to beat somebody, Southern Utah might have been the one. Then they played well, but preseason, I would have been they might beat Southern Utah.
Yeah, it's we said at home when they did, or we said early in the year whenever they did their first of their 2 games, we were like they'll win the one at home, and they did. But they've turned their offense around. I don't know what happened, but their offense is actually going nuts. Jamie says Ariel should come crash the pod. I'm pretty sure Ariel probably doesn't want to show up in her jammies. I don't know. I'm sure she's in bed.
That's her call. That's not my decision.
Kyler's comment: SFA and EWU played a rivalry game with the trophy be called shit defense.
Yes.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with that.
It'd be defense because there's no D there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be called one of us has a decent looking field. It's not EWU.
One comment about SFA. This honestly kind of a dig, but they came out really flat.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that I think they were not a good football team. It was very uninspired football.
It's senior day too. It was senior day, and they came out flat. And then Coach Carthel during the postgame was like, "We weren't ready," and I'm like, "You had a bye week. You had a bye week. How are you not ready to play? How do you not have juice?" And there's a lot of folks already on the sawmill and things like that saying that Carthel should be fired. And I don't think it's to that point yet, because if you look at him as a coach, you include the really weird COVID season, he's basically 500. He's 22-22. He's had the first season he was 3-9 using Clint Conk's shit team that Conk left him.
We love Clint Conk.
Yeah, Clint, that guy. So I think you have to give him one more year, but I think he only gets one more year, because you don't want to see regression in any sort of form, and you're seeing that this year. And you haven't seen the ownership. I mean, you haven't. It feels like you haven't seen a lot of accountability. It's been like, well, we weren't prepared. No, you're a coach. You're supposed to prepare your team to play. It's that simple. If your team's not prepared, that's on you. It stinks too, because we were losing. I told Will this. We're losing such great players. We're losing Xavier Gibson. We're losing BJ Thompson. We're losing all these awesome players, but thankfully we've reloaded in some sense with our recruiting. I mean, we've had 2 top 3 recruiting classes, if you want to call it that. I don't buy into the ranking stuff, but we'll see how it goes. And we got a good transfer quarterback from Tennessee, so we'll see what happens next year. But our schedule next year, I looked at already. I don't think we'd have a chance to be 500 until conference play.
The future's bright at quarterback. What's that guy's last name? Bauer?
Brian Maurer.
Maurer. Yeah. That dude's a stud. I think he's better than Trey Self. I think
he is too.
I don't think you can hand him the keys to the program when Trey Self is chilling there and all he's done for you. So
Yeah, but I think every time he's played, I mean, he's the only one who threw a touchdown in the UCA game. He came in late and did it. And I mean, our defense, we got ran all over. Our defense made some really great plays too. We had good turnovers, a nice fake punt, but just wasn't enough.
You had a couple turnovers. A couple of those were self-inflicted too. I don't know who the interception was being thrown to. That was just a really odd throw to make, and then obviously the fumble there at the end.
Scary.
What?
That's the most ominous comment I've ever. Oh no. We got.
Hey, Jamie, I just gotta.
I hear a dog.
Say something about Jamie. Yes, I'm rocking the Jamie shirt. I gotta rock my future school where I'm gonna get my doctorate from. So.
Are you?
Wow. Announcing you're committing right here on
committing?
Are we having a commitment
It'll
right
be
now?
a few years, but it'll be a few years, but I will be.
Yes.
I haven't seen that thing in a year.
Oh, don't make me laugh. I just have my nuts operated on.
Here.
It's awesome.
That's so good.
So he feels your pain.
Oh. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
He's very large, if you're wondering.
Yeah, he's bigger than I am, I think, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
That's massive. I'm glad he's made an appearance on a podcast this year, though. He has made all the appearances at South Dakota State Tailgates. He is part of the book club.
Yes, he is. He's an unofficial member of the book club.
Yep. All right. I'm going to entertain Jason Plotkin's question because, one, I actually know him personally real well. Can the WACSUN do a coin toss instead of a rating system? The OVC coin toss is eliciting a lot of excitement. Well, here's the thing about the OVC coin toss. We know that both sides of that coin have UTM written on it, so I don't think it's even worth the time. But I would say a coin toss is better than this rating system that is the biggest absolute garbage. Warren Nolan, I don't think you've ever heard of this podcast, but in the unlikely event you ever see this podcast, you suck. You suck at what you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Garbage.
This is all just so confusing.
It'd be one thing if you were using a true power ranking, but it's the simplest equation I've ever seen. If I could go take Microsoft Excel and do it for the conference in 10 minutes, then it's too simple. And just using 70% win percentage, 20% opponents win percentage, and 10% opponents win percentage is stupid. But that's just because if you go, there's true power rankings that go by offensive power, defensive power, literally everything. You could have used anything like that, but instead you did the dumbest formula ever.
So somebody mentioned earlier that if there was a 3-way tie for the ASUN, all three would be considered. Is that right?
I think they would see who's got the best chance to beat out the WAC champion, like the WAC nominee.
Well, that would be EKU.
They would find.
But at the same time, if let's say Central Arkansas finishes 3-1, Austin Peay finishes. Well, are we really
not
counting
the Jacksonville State loss?
Yeah, exactly.
It's in.
Yeah, it is count. They are counting it
in the standings. Yeah.
So
EKU, Central Arkansas, and Austin Peay all would be 3-2.
Yeah.
Austin Peay beat EKU. EKU beat Central Arkansas, and Central Arkansas beat Austin Peay. How in the world would you determine that?
They probably just use the power rating.
It wouldn't matter because it would go to the WAC anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
But even if
it would matter with EKU and SFA.
Right.
I think EKU'd probably get it at that point.
Well, I think you have to do it over.
Because they'd have a better.
Against. Oh, I don't know. They'd have this. I don't know. That's a good question. I think honestly, if it came to that point, they would give EKU because I think EKU doesn't have a realistic shot of getting that large. Because just the bubble's that big, and they're going to be better.
They're in on the FCS Fans Nation official bracketology.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure half of them are drunk doing it.
I was with the schools that were left on the bubble. It was them or Idaho, and I don't think you can complain either way.
I think, here's the thing. I think you would have given it to Idaho based upon their wins this year over EKU. But that's just my thought.
So I would say that the whole ranking system, the power ranking, Warren power ranking system, has elicited as much conversation as the coin flip because people have been talking about that all year as compared to the last 2 weeks.
That's true.
So I don't think you need to change to a coin flip at all. What do you think? No, you didn't think so either.
I feel like I'm giving you a hug, which is kind of weird.
A drunken hug. It's always a drunken hug. This man cannot stay off of his hooch.
That's about how it ends up in Frisco. Like, let's go find a McGriddle at 10:30 at night now.
No, there's a reenactment that I can do with him from Frisco, but I'd have to act like I was sleeping and then get powerbombed by him.
Oh, God. No,
I don't know what it is with people messing with me while I sleep, man. Like, you jumped on me. Another friend of mine decided to snuggle in bed with me.
Yeah.
Risk how that was going to turn out.
It was. I'll tell you this. It was after the Natty game. I knew Brendan was disappointed having to watch North Dakota State win in person. I knew he felt down.
I was disappointed. I was pissed.
He left the game early.
Yes, I did.
Back to the room, went to sleep. So I unlocked.
I was a baby about it.
He and I were sharing a room, and so I didn't even like walk in. I unlocked the door and ran in and just jumped across and frog splashed him in bed and said, "Get up, we're drinking." And he got up. So.
This might surprise you. You're pretty awake after that happened. You don't just go, I'm going to go back to bed now. That's not how that shit works.
Well, Ariel, I would warn you, Ariel. It's become a tradition now. So, move or you're going to get caught.
Yeah, get out of the bed. I remember you leaving. I remember watching you leave the game from our little rainbow section there. And I was like, what's wrong with him? And they're like, he's from South Dakota State. I was like, oh, yeah, this sucks for him, man.
I was pissed.
But, yeah.
It's that heavy realization that Montana State, we had lost that Montana State team. And then I had paid that much money to go to watch NDSU win national title. It was pretty tough to swallow.
That's fair.
I mean, to be fair, I think that I don't have anything to be fair. Let's go on to what everybody's looking forward to. In fact, I think this might be my mother's favorite segment. It's Brandon's Bracketology. So, in case you don't know, Brandon started out this year with a lot of hot takes. I mean,
that's an understatement.
Those takes were hot enough that he wouldn't have been cold this past weekend had he kept them up. And so now, and like the first time, like we don't know. Unlike the first time, we don't know who he's going to drop. He did mention his seeds on the.
Yes, I did. If you paid attention to the live stream
on the show, I don't think they got put in the like actually up on the screen, but they were in the comments. I saw them.
Dropped them on the A team too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, so just a shout out first of all to Matt, Kyler, and Jamie for doing their bracketology. Although Kyler chose violence, it still I think worked pretty well. But I think Brandon's probably going to choose more violence here. So I would say get your chocolate milk, kick back, and let's see what happens. And please feel free to talk shit in the comments. We will put them all up, every single one. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right, let's just get this done and over with. So let's start with the seeds. I had to go ahead and predict games for the upcoming week. And thank you for A-Team for giving me this information. But is it Hunter Luedtke?
Yep.
Yeah, he's apparently not going to be able to play in this week's game. So that's my first upset of the week. And it creates a lot of chaos already. So I have North Dakota beating North Dakota State this weekend.
In Fargo? Because the game's in Fargo. It's not in Alaris.
In Fargo. Have you checked the scores in the recent past of those games in the Fargo Dome?
Have I? No.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was in the USPS sorting center in Grand Forks, I would probably agree with you, but it's not in Fargo. I don't think the upset happens even without Hunter Luedtke there. So not related to Brendan. Different spelling of the last name. Just sounds the same because all the names up there sound the same.
All right, so starting with the number 1 seed, I have Sac State going undefeated, and because of the FBS win, they are my number 1 seed.
I am offended.
my number 2 seed, on the other hand, is South Dakota State. My number 3 seed, I have Montana State beating Montana, so they get the 3 seed. My number 4 seed is Samford. My 5 seed is Holy Cross.
Oh, I got to do it. Jamie told me to do it.
Oh, kicks him out.
Oh man,
That
and
was
the
such
rest
good timing. That was
don't
such
matter.
That's it. All right.
That's
let's
it,
come
boys.
That's
back.
it. This segment's done.
Come back.
My number 6 seed is Weber State. My number 7 is Richmond, and my number 8 is Incarnate Word. Really, just to reply to Jamie, you can swap Holy Cross and Weber State, in my opinion. So either way, I mean, one of those 2 teams is going to be 5 or 6, should the chaos that I think happen. So to go through the bracket, in the Sac State region, or portion of the bracket, I have Eastern Kentucky playing Southeast Louisiana, and Southeast Louisiana is the Southland champion, which means the Southland gets 2 bids this year. In the Incarnate Word portion, I have Furman versus William and Mary. In the Samford portion, I have Dayton beating Davidson this weekend to get the Pioneer automatic, and they will play Delaware. In the Holy Cross portion, I have the NECAQ St. Francis playing New Hampshire. In the Montana State portion, I have Chattanooga playing UT Martin, which is the OVC champion. Because we all know what's going to happen, that coin flip. In the Weber State portion, I have Abilene Christian versus North Dakota State. In the South Dakota State region, or portion of the bracket, I have SEMO playing North Dakota. And finally, in the Richmond portion, I have the Big South champion playing Elon, which is North Carolina A&T, and they will travel to Elon.
So I think your geography's off on a couple of those, because I think they would do Abilene Christian versus Southeastern Louisiana as a game, and I think they do UT Martin against SEMO as a game, because they technically didn't play each other in conference this year, so they would easily be a first-round game. And
they used to do that with the Southland schools all the time.
Yeah, so I think those are 2 that you would see. I think somebody would have to travel to an unseeded North Dakota State if they were to not be seeded, although I really think that they're not going to lose this week and that they will get a seed. So I don't know.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So Abilene Christian has a lot of money.
Yeah.
They can bid for a home game, and they can probably outbid a lot of like bigger athletic departments, like public school athletic departments. If they get in, which, I mean, all signs point that they're going to win this weekend. I think they get a home game, because I think they outbid some people, not with ticket money, but with, hey, we'll guarantee this amount of money, whether it's got to come from us or not.
I don't think they would outbid someone like Southeastern Louisiana, but I think you're right. I think they would probably throw a lot of money there. They haven't ever made the playoffs. They'd want that first home game.
You don't think they would outbid Sela?
Sela will put a lot of money out there. I mean, you might be right. They might. It's really, now I say that, I'm like, they're going to want that first home game, because they're going to want that, hey, we finally made it to the playoffs after 10 years of however long it's been, with them being, D1. So yeah, they'd probably get a home game.
I think if they get in, they for sure get one, just because that they've got a ton of money, and just being there before and seeing like the facilities they've got. Oh yeah.
And so Jason Plotkin has this comment: going to keep up the anti-Fordham trend in WACSUN.
I can't put Fordham in. I'm sorry, I can't put Fordham in. When you stack their resumes against the other teams that were being considered for one of those last 4 spots, it did not match up. My last 4 in is Delaware, UTC, EKU, and UND. And yes, Montana is not in the field.
Ooh, that's gonna cause some butthurt.
Oh yeah.
Do I care?
Wait a minute. If Montana's not in the field,
I just felt an earthquake.
then Idaho has to be in the field. Then Idaho would be in the field. It's going to be one or two of the schools. It's not going to be both.
There's no way.
Yeah, one or two of them are going to get in. I don't think you're going to get. I think this is where the Eastern Kentucky thing comes in, because I don't. If Abilene Christian wins the WAC, they're gonna win the AQ. I don't think Eastern Kentucky is going to get in, and so nice. So no, I mean, of course, you never know. I would just be shocked given the wins. I know EKU had a great win against Bowling Green, but let's look at ranked wins, look at resume, look at strength of schedule, and Idaho has it. So I don't see them sitting out, even though they completely crapped the bed.
But Idaho is 7-2 overall, because you won't count the FBS losses.
No. So they're 7. I mean, they're 7-2. They'll probably win this week, so they'll be 8. Wait, they play this week, right? I'm trying to remember if they're not one of those. Yeah, they play this week. They're not like South Dakota State, who took a bye on the last freaking week of the.
That's
of the
perfect.
season.
Oh yeah, that was our decision. Yeah, that was us.
But I mean, when you compare
they play Idaho State this weekend. Come on, that's a dub.
Yeah, when you compare Idaho's resume, 7-4, 0 FBS wins, so technically they're 7-2, 1 at the time ranked win, 1 current ranked win. EKU, same record, but 6 FCS wins, 1 FBS win, 1 at the time ranked win against SEMO, and SEMO is still ranked. I have to take EKU. EKU's resume is better than Idaho's.
But
what's the strength of schedule?
What's your strength of schedule? Because the teams that here's the thing: the teams that Idaho beat would have boat raced Bowling Green. Also, Bowling Green's one of the worst FBS teams. Like you're not hanging a lot on that. And they talked, and Sam Herder, whenever he talked to on his podcast, just a group of 5 wins aren't going to necessarily help you this year, because a group of 5, a lot of those teams are so bad that a lot of the top FBS top teams will actually rank above them in rankings. So while it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, while it was great, I picked EKU to win. There's a reason why I picked EKU to win, because Bowling Green is awful. So I don't think that's going to hold as much weight as you think it's going to hold going into when the committee's looking at it, especially when you look at the fact that Idaho freaking beat. I mean, granted, yes, Montana is on the right now, and they're probably going to lose this week. But still, at the time, when you look at where they were ranked at that win, that's going to help them.
Yeah, but you also have to look at how did Idaho perform against Washington State and Indiana?
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
I mean,
they barely lost.
Not bad at all.
To both of them. Yeah, they barely lost to both of them.
They were leading at half in one of those, wasn't they? Weren't they?
Yeah.
Like Indiana.
Yeah, if you look at their games, they lost by 13 to Indiana.
It's 7.
They lost by a touchdown to Washington State.
And then you look at EKU, they barely lost to Eastern Michigan, and they beat Bowling Green. Now, granted, both of those teams are G5 teams compared to P5 teams. But also an FBS win is an FBS win.
But it's not going to have the weight you think it's going to have, and that's the point I'm thinking. I get it, you think it's FBS win, but again, I would be willing to bet you that South Dakota State could beat Bowling Green, Sacramento State could beat Bowling Green, Idaho could beat Bowling Green. Hell, Incarnate Word could probably boat race Bowling Green. Lindsey Scott would go for 700 yards and 14 touchdowns against Bowling Green. Like they suck. They suck out loud. They suck so bad you can smell them from where they are. So I think this is a little bit of homerism out of you. I'm just calling it out because you want to see 2 from the WACSUN. I want to see 2 from the WACSUN. I don't think the WACSUN's going to get 2 though. Unless SFA beats ACU, and then if SFA beats ACU, then it's Eastern Kentucky going in. It comes from the ASUN. You're not going to get 2 though.
And who you lose to matters as well. And I mean, the teams that Idaho will have lost to will be highly ranked teams or in the playoffs. If Davis pulls the upset, but even then, I would argue Davis is a better loss than Austin Peay.
Yeah, like
Jamie, didn't Jamie pick EKU? Was he the one that picked Eastern Kentucky?
He
Or
picked
was it-
them.
Yes.
and then wanted to go
Yeah.
back. That's what it was.
and then
he was
wanted
like,
to go
"Oh, I'll
back.
stick with it." Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Because if we look at Eastern Kentucky, they lost to Sam Houston, right? And Sam's hot garbage. They still kind of were at the time. That's when they were starting to look at redshirting their players. Their loss to Eastern Michigan's not going to count against them. And so that Jamie brings up a good point. Focus on the wins and not losses. And I think when you look at it, I mean, that Bowling Green win's not going to count for much for Eastern Kentucky. And not to mention also talking about how many overtimes they actually do it, 7, something like that. Like it wasn't like it was
it was 7.
Yeah, like it wasn't like it was an outlanded, like they completely like went out there and boat raced them like Sacramento State did to their FBS competition, or Incarnate Word did to Nevada or someone like that. They inked it out at the very end of the game. So
I'll say this. If this was a situation where EKU was going to finish with 8 wins, it might be a little bit different. But if they end up having the same number of wins, then I think the resume is probably just better for Idaho. Now, if they had different, if EKU had 8, then I think you see the Idaho scheduling 2 FBS teams kind of biting them in the butt. Like it did in Austin P when they scheduled 3 in like 2017 or something.
Yeah.
No.
But I don't know that scheduling 2, if you have the same number of wins, is going to count as a penalty for you. So anyway,
yeah, don't get me wrong.
I hope Eastern Kentucky gets him.
I mean, I do too. I just
Idaho
don't see it
would.
happening. Yeah, I don't see it happening. And I love Parker McKinney. Like I actually really like that team, especially with what happened with the coach having basically dying in the office and then getting back out on the field. Like I mean, you want to see it happen, but I just don't think it's there. Looking at some of these comments, there we go. So I'm trying to get on Hammond's good side. Well, I mean,
Some of it too. If they're gonna weigh the win for Sac State to give the FBS win to help them get the 1 seed, you're gonna have to weigh it the same way when you're weighing the FBS win for Eastern Kentucky against Idaho in that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jamie has a really good point right here.
Does Idaho have 3 ranked wins though? I mean,
Idaho have 3 ranked wins.
Is that how many they have, or is it 2?
Let's see, Montana was 3.
Yeah.
Whenever they beat them. I gotta pull up the schedule again real quick.
They beat. Let's see.
If only we had that Word document
No,
that Matt Brazy used.
It's just
Yeah.
Montana.
No,
Montana.
they have more than
prepared.
Yeah, they're
So it's
better
only
than-
1, I guess.
No, that's not. They had
They
more
only
than
got
that.
1. Nope. Lost at Sac State.
Yeah. So they've really only got 1 ranked win. So that's true. I mean,
They didn't get the benefit of playing Eastern Washington before everybody realized how bad they were.
No, yeah, that is true. They didn't. Yeah.
so I mean, if you count it that way, then I don't know. You're looking at a true strength of schedule, like numerical value.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I put EKU in, was because they have that FBS win and they have the same amount of ranked wins as Idaho.
Okay, but look at strength of schedule. 22 versus 57. That 22 is not EKU.
Bowling Green has a Sagarin rating of 142.
Yeah.
If you look at just the Big Sky itself, the highest Big Sky rated team is Montana at 69. Nice. Sac State
Nice.
at 73.
Thanks.
Weber State at 86. Davis at 89. Montana State at 103. Idaho is at 113. So Idaho is higher ranked in the Sagarin rating than Bowling Green, which is EKU's best win. So I don't know. Northern Arizona is closer to Bowling Green than anybody in the Big Sky. So
yeah, I agree with Jamie Williams on this one. I think with how the committee values FBS wins, it doesn't matter who it's against. I think that the FBS win will still break the tie between EKU and Idaho, and EKU gets in.
I hope it does. I just don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. That's a good question from chat. What chance are you giving Davis for the win? Like Davis,
I'd say 20%.
I would probably say
I'd give him higher than that.
I'd give him higher than that. I mean, it is a rivalry game. It's a game both schools get up for.
Is it at Davis or at Sac State?
Well, they're right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, they're legit across the street from it. Oh, not they're like
pretty close.
They're pretty damn close to each other. I would say probably 35, 40, somewhere in there.
Especially with how Sac State's let people hang around early on. It's not like necessarily they've had a bunch of close games, but they've let people hang on for a little bit.
See, right there, Jamie.
Okay, so
I'd give them a 45% chance. I'm going to be honest. I feel pretty good about Davis with how they're cooking right now.
Yeah, they're turning it on at the right moment, you know. And this is the thing. This is why, you know, people. I heard something on that show full of hacks that has another channel. They're talking about like, is NDSU bad this year? I'm like, NDSU it doesn't matter how you start the year. Well, if you turn it on at the right time, you know, you get your streak going when it matters the most, which is now. That I mean, that's just one of the things that makes schools like that extremely dangerous, and that's what makes Davis dangerous right now, because they are hot. They're playing real well.
It's like Ole Miss winning the baseball national championship last year.
Exactly.
Well, you heard Tim Elko say it. Don't let the Rebs get hot. Don't let the Aggies get hot. They might just knock you out of the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Well, they were good at the beginning of the year too. We forget that they had a stretch of FBS and then straight top 5 teams that they had to play.
And they played South Dakota State real well.
They played us tough. I think they played Weaver even better.
Yeah.
They should have won Weaver. If they make a field goal, then that's a whole different game. And then they finally ran out of gas against Montana State, but they were better than they were getting credit for, especially when people were using it against SDSU in the beginning of the year, which I got a kick out of. But now everybody's like, "Oh, they're really good, right?" That's fine. I think they're better than people think. They've got a real good defense, and their running back starts with a G. That kid's a little stud. That'll be a fun game to watch if anybody's able to go watch Scatabo versus, I think it's Gilmore is his name.
Yeah.
So here's something that I noticed today when I was looking at my rankings, and I watched part of the mock playoff selection for FCS Fans Nation, and they had Samford at 3. I have Samford at 4. There is a way, if you look at mine, there is a way for Samford to get the 2 seed.
Sac State lose.
Sac State has to lose.
Yeah.
And Montana State has to lose.
Does Montana State have to lose, or would it just secure it if they lost?
I think it's Montana State has to lose.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going to consider the Big Sky the best conference with the amount of playoff qualifiers they have, and going undefeated in it is going to get them the nod.
Yeah, they would have to lose. And I mean, honestly though, like Samford has looked great this year, but man,
they've won the games though.
They've won the games, but I don't know. I don't know.
I hope Kevin's watching this, because we're talking about a Big Sky team and a SoCon team.
Let's not talk trash about the SoCon team, because Kevin will come after you with SoCon.
I will say, if Samford gets the 2 seed, their path to the semis their chances of making the semis should go up, depending on what draw they get.
Well, yeah. I'm curious too if the SoCon has those teams that are as good as we think, and with the seed and everything like that, or if the bottom just dropped out of the SoCon because the triple option teams got killed with not being able to cut block and what they got going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Who else in this? Wofford doesn't run the triple option anymore.
It's just the Citadel. Citadel, comma.
Is it just Citadel?
Just Citadel. I think so.
You better
Is it just because it tweaks somebody's tail? I call them Citadel.
I don't think VMI runs the triple option.
No,
No,
they
they
was
had a
kind of a
quarterback
high
a couple
flying.
years ago.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you stand in your bathroom mirror with the lights out and say Citadel 3 times, Kevin comes up from behind you.
Oh god, that's terrifying.
Well,
With
the
a
other
Soko in hand, screaming about cut blocks.
screaming that the service academies are at a disadvantage because they can't recruit players that they need and can't cut blocks.
And they scared the big boys, so they legislated them out of being able to compete.
Okay, so where does NDSU fall to when they lose? Like, are you talking about ranking or in the playoff?
I don't think Chad heard the C's. I think Chad showed up
Yeah,
late because he can't.
Oh,
I saw his comment in there.
If NDSU loses to UND for any reason, they're not getting a seed. They aren't going to have any chance at getting a seed.
Because they're NDSU, I can see a scenario where they get an 8 seed.
Just total name recognition.
Citadel. No, we're not going to do that. Wait, Alexa, turn off the lights.
Oh,
Citadel. I can do all sorts of fun tricks. Alexa, turn the lights on. Turn them blue.
Okay.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
That's a good look right there. You should stay that way.
Yeah, there
stick
you go.
with that.
Is that
Yeah.
Is that your trick for when you get aerial? Alexa, turn the lights on.
Yeah, is that like your party trick? You host a party and Alexa, turn the lights on.
Yeah, I can do dance and like strobes them.
Oh. The Alexa in our house just went off.
All right, so I will tell y'all on this agenda, we had 2 things for the middle before we get to the rest of the game. One was bracketology, and the other one was just titled "Shit Talking Everyone." And I feel like we're to that point now. So again, if you have a comment where you want to trash talk anybody, drop it in. We'll put it up, especially if it makes me laugh. But please don't make me laugh too much. But
give us a fan base, and I'll give you the most annoying thing about that fan base.
Montana.
Oh God, everything.
Yes, I agree.
It made my day when they started pitching for game day, like at Montana State. I was like, man, if they get it, Montana fans are going to be livid. And that was so. It just made my day when they took game day to Bozeman because Montana's like, it's because we're in it. And it's like, okay, whatever. But I can't stand Montana fans.
No, they you want to talk about let's look at how many Big Sky titles have they gotten in the past 10 years? You might want to take a guess.
0.
How many is Montana State? How many has Montana State gotten?
3.
Exactly. So shut your damn mouth. Pound sand.
My favorite is when they talked about playoffs without Montana are irrelevant. Like back during the spring season, it's like, well, I guess the last decade's been irrelevant.
Bobby Hawk is just a tool. Let's go to the next fan base.
I hope they lose and miss the playoffs so we can ask him once again if the playoffs are now irrelevant.
So, Chad, seeing as how the boss of our StreamYard channel is a Bison admin and probably could pull the power here at any time, I will say that NDSU
coward.
They play in a dome. They're soft. Play outside.
The most annoying thing about North Dakota State is that every time they don't win a game by like 40, they think the world's ending, or they don't have the best game play calling, or somebody schemes them a little bit. They think the world's falling and the dynasty's over. That's what's annoying.
Oh, so Alabama fans?
You want to know the most annoying thing in the world, honestly, about them? Like the number one thing about them?
Yes.
Is unlike every other fan base in the world, they can talk all the shit they want.
And you can't
before a game. No, it's not that you can't say anything. I've got all sorts of inventive things that I say to NDSU fans. That's not the problem. But they could shit talk before a game as much as they physically want because their team always bails them out. So it never comes up and they never have to eat crow, like ever. And it's so goddamn irritating.
Here's the one thing that actually truly annoys me about them, and I think you kind of touched on it a bit. Matt was talking about Matt Frazee put out a tweet at the beginning of the year. It was like the week before their first game, and he could find tickets still. And it was like years before you couldn't find tickets. They were always sold out. And this year you'll be able to. And you know why? It's because their fans got bored with winning. And like, you know what? If your team's winning, you should get your ass in the seat because your team is winning. Your team has done something over the past decade that we haven't seen at the FCS level. You know, we've seen dynasties, we've seen App State, we've seen Georgia Southern, but not in a string like you have. And the fact that you're getting too bored, like, piss off. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Pardon my mouth.
Already.
But like, I would take that any damn day of the week and twice on Sunday to have SFA be a dynasty team. Like you're just as, I mean, at least Sam Houston fans, even though they didn't show up to the game, they, you know, consistently didn't show up to the game. It wasn't like that they got bored with it, you know.
Consistently.
So
they also have, it's hard to complain about like Sam Houston fans not necessarily showing up when they have so much competition for like fans in the state of Texas.
Right.
And really that's everywhere in the country except for the Montanas and the Dakotas.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop you right there. South Dakota.
They got Iowa. They got
heavy Nebraska and
Nebraska,
Iowa. Like crazy heavy.
To me though, if you don't have I get what you're saying. Like
South Dakota State is literally 2.5 hours from Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna come back up.
Here's my counter to Sam Houston, though, to what you just said. If JSU in a state where Alabama and Auburn are can pull at least 12,000 fans, Sam Houston should be able to do the same thing.
All right. Jamie Williams wants to talk trash about Richmond, and honestly, you know what the most annoying thing about Richmond is hearing JMU fans going, it's blah blah blah. And Richmond still sucks. You know what? You don't play in the same division anymore. Get over it. Find a new rival, okay? Like, stop, okay? Nobody cares anymore. Like, they're not your rival. Let it go, okay? Just take whatever anger you have, put it in your pocket, and wait until you play them. Like, you get them at a bye game where you bring them up to Harrisonburg or you play in basketball or something. But, like, find a new rival. Go be rivals with Marshall. They need some love or something. Like, just do something else. Be like it's 10-22 and Marshall still sucks. That'd be fine. Or even better, come up with something a little more creative than that, okay? Like, at least North Dakota State yells Sioux sucks shit still, even though North Dakota's not the Sioux. You know, at least something. Be creative, be better, be bold. That's it. That's your reverend.
Mine and Will's time to shine. You go first,
dude. I don't know if there's anything annoying about North Alabama other than you made 5-year-old Will cry. I mean, that's all there is about North Alabama that's annoying is that like I can look back to one time of me crying in my life, and it's because of you. It's hard to have anything else against you. Sorry.
Okay, so Tuna fans are so prideful of their band and think that they are God's gift to earth.
No band
stuff. If only the Southerners didn't think that.
Yeah.
Southerners is the best band in the country. Thank you. We have the hardware to prove it. It was presented to us this weekend. So,
all right.
JSU fans hate that that Tuna fans think that their band is is God's gift to earth when it's not.
All right. Let's see.
They don't have a stadium. That's annoying.
Yeah,
I got one last one for you guys to do. SDSU fans.
SDSU.
I love India.
You take everything so freaking personal. Good
yeah, you really kind of do. Like you guys are so salty. You shouldn't have ice on your roads in the wintertime. Like it's just insane how we weren't ranked number one. Listen, assholes, I was ranking you guys one for most of the season. Just not everybody else caught up to it. And does it matter? Does the ranking really matter? No. What matters at the end of the day is playing in Frisco and raising the trophy. Like, I mean, there are certain podcasters on the JI network that just, dear God, like stop crying over it that you weren't ranked number one. Like, I mean, sorry, not sorry. Like you have a great fan base. You've got a beautiful little stadium. You can have beer now, which makes it even better for everybody else. You break your helmets on the rails. Like you do Hobo Day, which is, great. I think it's probably one of the best traditions in FCS. Like there's not a lot to say. Just stop taking shit so seriously. But that's also why we're SCSU's favorite podcast.
I think this sums it up. I feel like your fan base does get butthurt about everything. And like Jamie said, you shouldn't, because you're better than everybody in the country except maybe one team, and we don't even know. And I don't know. I just feel like I would kill to be ranked in the top 2. So,
in our defense,
yeah.
Be NDSU's rival for the last decade. You get touchy about stuff.
I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's good.
I saw this one. I'm going to put it right there too.
There were at least 15 at the game.
Yeah, listen, it was cold and it was deer season, so our 15 went down to 8. No, SFA, I will say, here's the thing about our fans. Our fans are
podcast stores.
Our fans give up way too easily. Like they're too, like they are. I mean, you know, if you think about it, if you think about the history, you know, we've only had like, I don't know, 7 playoff appearances. It's in D1, not that many. We had the national championship game that got vacated, but like our fans just like, as soon as we lose one game, we should fire our whole staff and do something new, sort of thing. And that's annoying to me.
You know how many times Saturday I heard at least we have basketball?
Yeah, and that's the other thing I hate too. I hate that we have basketball. Yeah, you know what? We are a basketball school. We are a basketball school first, but we got a pretty damn good coach for football. So, oh yes, we're gonna do this one. Hold on. Wait.
I can do it.
No. Jabari Jones asked a question that wasn't about the CUSA contract, so I want to make sure we get to that one because I can see it there. But
okay,
UCA fans.
So my pet peeve at UCA fans is that we can put 12,000 people in a stadium, fill it to the brim, and you would think that there's like 2,500 there.
That is true. Your stadium is damn quiet.
It's just not like it's because we live in a state that is totally red. Like it is Razorback red to the core, and I wish it wasn't. But you've got people in the stands watching the Arkansas game on their phone, and it's like, oh, we got a first down. Like, we were playing Sam Houston last year. They were the number 1 team in the country. We storm back, make it 31-28, and it's just like crickets. And you got players on the sideline turning around, trying to pump the crowd up, and nothing's happening. And it's just, I don't know, it's a little depressing sometimes.
When UCA scores a touchdown at home, it sounds like this.
It got a little bit better when they introduced the fireworks. I don't know if you've been back since we've had fireworks.
No.
They shoot fireworks now, and I think people literally get more excited for the fireworks than they do for the touchdown, but it makes people get up a little bit. But anyway, yeah, that's my pet peeve, is that it's like a freaking peanut gallery.
All right. So Chad asked Jackson State. I don't know if he meant Jackson State or if he meant Jacksonville State. So let's hit both. Let's hit Jacksonville State, because there's shit about them that's annoying besides their band.
I got some stuff on Jacksonville State fans
and some of their posters on the FCS Fans Nation page.
Yeah.
You know, so go ahead, Brandon. Besmirch your own school.
The one thing that I hate is they think JSU is the best team in the FCS. Now, better yet, they think they're the best football team in the state of Alabama. And that's just not the case. And every time that somebody tries to bring them back to reality, they get all defensive. And I'm just like, bro, calm down. Are you okay in the head? Like, do you need a mental exam? Because apparently you think a team that has less scholarships and is in a different subdivision than Alabama and Auburn is better than Alabama and Auburn. Like, no, sit down. Yeah. And some of them even say, oh, we can take NDSU, we can take South Dakota State, we can take Montana. I'm like, oh, please be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, because we got it one time and we got our butts handed to us.
Yep. I think the only thing that really annoys me with Jacksonville State, honestly, I mean, the other stuff you can tolerate is that they still are allowing a punter who sexually assaulted a teammate to still play for them.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing too.
Yeah, that's you know, just saying. No, and Chad apparently meant Jackson State. I don't have any beef with Jackson State, to be honest with you. If a lot of people don't like Deion Sanders as coach and what he has done for the SWAC and what he's done for HBCUs, you got to admit they're getting a lot more attention than they used to get. You can't talk
like
shit
Georgia
about it.
Southern fans.
You can't talk shit about a team that averages 45,000 people a game, right? Like they fill up. When I stayed in Houston, the weekend the Astros won to avoid being down here for the Lone Star Motorcycle Rally, and it was when Jackson State played Texas Southern, and there were so many Jackson State fans downtown, like insane. Like they travel well, they support their team. It sucks they don't have clean drinking water, but that's another story. So I don't think you can say anything bad about them. I would love to see them in the playoffs because I would love to see how they do against other teams, but they're going to go to Celebration Bowl. They're going to get their money and they're going to get their media exposure, and that's good for them. There's not really anything you can say about them.
I was going to build off of that because a lot of their fans are saying that they will play anybody, anytime, anywhere. But then you bring up the fact that you would have to play those teams in the playoffs because none of those teams are going to schedule Jackson State during the regular season. And they go all ballistic on you when you mention playoffs. If you want to prove yourself, go to the playoffs. Yep. Get into a conference where you can get an AQ or an at-large and prove yourself.
Who needs to prove yourself when you get the money going to the Celebration Bowl, though?
Exactly.
Right.
Like they don't have.
It does irk me when they like talk crap about the playoffs and talk about they would win the national championship if they played in it. That irks me a little bit because then I'm like, okay, play in the playoffs. But at the same time, I totally understand not doing it, but don't say you're not doing it because you're too good for it. You're not doing it because you make more money the other way.
Yeah. So. No, I agree. Real quick, Will, or this is more of an Ace question since you know better, but thoughts on Coach Bo regarding staying at KSU with the move to CSA? I think he'll be gone.
I was going to say, is there something I don't know about? Because
I think he'll be gone. I don't think he'll be staying around, dude.
Well, we talked about this. We talked about this when KSU announced they were going to CUSA, or when UNA fired their coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I think he's a great coach, but I don't know that scheme is going to work, especially as you transition. And so if you're concerned about getting a jump, you got to recruit, and that system calls you to recruit a certain way, and that's not going to work. It's not working now, whether it be the new rule or just in general, and it's not going to work at the Conference USA. And so if you want to recruit the way you're going to have to recruit, then either tell him you got to change the system or I guess let him go. I love Bohannon. I think he's awesome. But I don't know that he's the guy necessarily to lead you to the promised land if that is what you're trying to do. Now, I think he's a guy you could keep on staff and maybe say, hey, I want you to hire an offensive coordinator that's going to do this. You still be the head guy, the face of the program, but we're going to give you the money to get an offensive coordinator. Okay, so you want him gone.
I don't know. I don't think it translates up to the next level what he's trying to do unless he's going to go work at a service academy. Like I just don't see it happening. So
that system, no. But I mean, if you bring in because he was trained under Paul Johnson, is that his name? At Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think so.
Yeah.
So if you told him get an offensive coordinator that is going to run an offense that's compatible with success at that level, then maybe it works. But
all right, one more comment, and then we're going to go into the games of the week because I just think this is a funny comment from Chad, and actually I think he spelled it right for everything. No, he misspelled who's. Never mind.
There's got to be one in there.
Yeah, he spelled who's. He used who's improperly.
If it was done right, I'd be worried somebody stole his computer and was typing in this.
Whose field turf is the worst, and why does it make Kyler such a hater?
The worst.
Is this between Eastern Washington and UCA?
No, this can be anybody.
Okay.
Honestly, you know what? Here's the thing. I talked crap about UCA stripes, but they've gotten better since they kind of made that purple deeper, like we talked about. Eastern Washington did something sort of neat. To me, Northern Iowa is one of the ugliest damn fields I've ever seen, and it's not even because it's a different color. It's because they tried to go green stripes, and one of their greens looked like if you take all the colors in a crayon box and mix them together. And then they have that
like throw up.
Yeah, or throw up. I was trying to be nice and nicer. But then they also have that same throw up piss stain, whatever it is around. That's the shape of Iowa that they have at midfield. To me, that's the ugliest. That's the ugliest field turf.
Eastern Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
That's the factory is the worst because the first time I turned my TV to a game when they had installed the gray turf, I legitimately thought that my TV was broken. And just like Jamie just said it too. Yeah, I felt like I was watching a black and white game, and then I realized that the uniforms were the right color, and so yeah, that sucks to watch a game on.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina's teal doesn't bother me so much. It just looks like really bad AstroTurf from like the 80s.
I was gonna say it just looks like AstroTurf.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with you and I because I think the gray one would look.
I liked her, and now I don't.
My wife's trashing you. That's actually my favorite. I'm gonna tell you, my favorite field in the FCS is the birthday cake. That is my favorite turf color?
Is that
it's
UCA?
Yeah,
birthday cake.
It's a layer cake.
Yeah,
Ariel does not agree.
That's my favorite one. Yeah, well, obviously she doesn't have taste. She married me.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that. I saw two more fan ones, and I mean, we got Chad's done enough, but Sam, who cares? They're FBS. McNeese.
Who?
I have nothing against McNeese. You guys are awesome.
Here's the thing about McNeese. You got to say it right. It's not McNeese.
Why is it McNeese? There's no
because they're from Louisiana and they can't talk.
Get your life together, McNeese.
Yeah, McNeese. Listen, I will call them McNeese forever and always.
So here's the thing I actually like about McNeese. One, they have a great tailgating environment. If you haven't been there, you show up on Friday night, they're partying. It's the erection party or whatever you want to call it. They're putting up tents, but they're still partying.
Whoa.
Saturday, they party all day.
That's appropriate for a whack-off jack-off.
Yeah, we had to throw it. So Saturday, it's a big tailgate. And the thing is, you come in as a visiting fan, they are going to offer you a beer. They're going to offer you food. They're going to take care of you, right? You go inside the game. They're going to talk trash about you for 3 hours. They're going to be your worst enemy. They're going to sway and clap and sing Jolie Bon and all that stuff. And then as soon as the game's over, you walk out, they're going to offer you another beer. Like, their fans, they have one of the best fan bases in FCS. And after what that city has gone through with the hurricanes and Hurricane Laura, which I had to evacuate from here, and thankfully it missed, but unfortunately it hit them, and then they got hit with the other, I can't remember what the other one was, like just back to back, and the fact that they're recovering from it, their program's a little bit down this year, but they'll rebound. They always rebound. The Southland's very cyclical when it comes to it being a conference, and you're going to see McNeese come back up rise up. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing I hate is that they put McNeese on the back of their jerseys, but I get that they make it about a team and not an individual, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah,
but that's my thoughts on him.
I think the only thing I don't like about McNeese is the fact that they have fallen off so much because they used to be such a very good team.
Yeah,
the cowbells kind of suck.
Then if they have cowbells, that's the most annoying thing about them.
They have cowbells. All right.
Have you seen a Mississippi State game on the TV?
All right. Jamie Williams is right. He says it's coming up at 11 on the East, and he's old. And we're at an hour 13, so we're definitely getting
fight song is Ring the Bells for South Dakota.
Yeah. So let's get into week 13. We're just gonna go through these real quick. I'll call out the games. These are really easy, and then we have 2 games of the week that we can discuss further. So we have not Appalachian, but Austin Peay traveling to Bama.
Is Austin Peay even going to show up?
What's the spread?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ben didn't give me by 80.
The hell, Ben.
Yeah, what the hell, Ben? No,
I can't pick against Scotty Walden. I mean,
yeah, I know you love you some Scotty Walden, but I just going against Bama. I know Bama is down after the LSU loss, but I don't see that being a loss.
You don't see that making them lose to Austin Peay.
I don't see that making them lose to Austin Peay, unfortunately. So I got to go Bama. I heard Bama by 80. All right, we got Northern Iowa. They're going to be walking in Memphis, playing the Tigers at the Liberty Bowl.
Memphis.
As much as I want UNA to win, I'm picking Memphis.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Kennesaw State at Eastern Kentucky.
This one could be interesting.
It could.
because
I'm calling Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw's playing their best ball of the year right now.
Yep.
EKU is
And-
not playing very great.
Well, I mean, they're 2 weeks removed from being UCA by 4 scores. So, I mean, yeah, they had a bad week last week, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily not playing great. But I think where's it at? I didn't even look.
It is in
Richmond.
Richmond.
It's
But
gonna be
that's not a
cold.
travel. But that's not a bad travel thing for
It's gonna be
Kennesaw State.
cold. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be windy. It's not gonna be Brendan cold, but it's gonna be cold.
There's going to be one complete set of teeth in the stands because it is Eastern Kentucky.
Saying the toothbrush, not a toothbrush.
The Kentucky Blue people will be out there.
No,
Because of my bracket, I'm gonna go EKU.
all right. Will,
I'm gonna roll with Kennesaw.
Brendan.
I'm gonna go with Eastern Kentucky.
Yep, I'm going to take Kennesaw. All right, we got the Thunderbirds of Southern Utah traveling to the prison to play Sam.
I'll
take
start that one.
Thunder Chickens.
And play in
Oh.
front of all
Playing in
of
front-
15 people.
Dozens
Yep.
of people will be at that game.
Yeah,
The Sam Houston fan will be there.
there will be one.
Hopefully, there's not an execution going on at the same time because then that guy will be busy doing other things.
That's true.
Their offense is getting it together a little bit, so I'm gonna go with Sam.
I'm taking the Thunderbirds.
I'm going Southern Utah.
Yeah.
Too bad that's not a game of the week. I could get some points back.
Nah, that's not happening. We had to pick the games that actually mattered this week. Houston Christian, not Baptist. They're leaving the confines of CVS to go play Tarleton.
Tarleton.
It's got a play down game here for Tarleton, so
Yeah,
I'll take them.
I don't think it's enough of a trap game for Tarleton. It's the last game of the season, and Tarleton has nothing to play for except for people thinking they should be FBS. So I will take them, although I'd love to see Houston Christian pull the upset just for shits and giggles at that point.
I'll go with Tarleton, even though I root against them every game for the rest of their existence.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a real question. Brendan,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Houston Baptist or Houston Christian play a game? Just out of curiosity.
I have caught them before flipping through, but I don't remember it.
Because
a whole lot of it.
I really
I
sometimes
know I've had it
wonder-
on ESPN Plus.
Okay, sometimes I wonder if like the Huskies get up on any TVs north of the Mason-Dixon.
North of CVS,
Well,
basically.
Yeah.
I have a problem. Like if the Jacks are on the road and I'm not going to the game, I sit down and I start my day watching game day, and then it's FCS football. I don't watch FBS football at all, so I will watch FCS football until I'm watching Big Sky After Dark.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's props to you.
So
Then.
I'm flipping all over through all sorts of them. I get bored with another game because it turns into a blowout, so I jump to another one, and
Yeah.
that's what I
Very
do.
cool.
I mean, the thing with Houston Christian is when they had Bailey Zappi playing there, I mean, they were actually playing pretty well with him as quarterback, and they were getting some national exposure. But again, you're exposing the fact that half of your stadium is dominated by a CVS. So,
Yeah.
But the nice thing, though, is that if you get really hot in those September games, you can go to CVS, buy yourself a Gatorade, get a 6-foot-long receipt, and you have a tent. So there are some pros to having that right there.
It's true. If your
all
athletic
right.
trainer forgets Advil, you can
Yeah,
walk across
exactly. You're right there,
the
man.
fence.
That's exactly it. You don't have to get around the sidelines. Just go in, you give it your CVS card, get your points.
That's right.
you're
So
good
does
to
their
go.
trainer even get Advil, or does he just send the players over to get it themselves?
Just give them a voucher and tell them to go get it. They've got a special.
You got 2 coupons.
Ariel said, "No props to you. Don't encourage that behavior." Sorry, Brendan.
Yeah, she listens
Actually,
to it.
more. Sorry, Ariel. I will encourage this behavior. At least he's not a degenerate, like doing degenerate things. He's just watching football. It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be gambling on it.
He could be gambling. He could be hitting those casinos, man. All right, let's see. Before we get to the game of the week's last game, this one should be easy to call. Utah Tech. They
Poor
travel
Utah
up.
Tech.
They travel up to Brigham Young.
BYU.
Cougs.
Yeah, you got to pick the Cougs.
BYU.
That's okay. So now let's get to the games of the week. And why these 2 games of the week are important is because I believe statistically I cannot lose our game of the week challenge. I think I can still finish second, but I will not finish last. So that will be going down between.
Do we
y'all
know
two.
the standings?
We'll
We've all missed, except for I think Rev got one. Or no, you got last week, I guess.
I got last week.
we got last week. Yeah, I think Will has to get both these right, basically.
I think I'm a game behind you, Rev.
Yep. So, like I said, but Will's too far behind. I think he has to get both these right. Well, anyways.
I also didn't pick one because you freaking put UCA in it. And so I just
And
didn't
guess
pick.
what? Guess who's one of the games of the week this week? We had to pick the two that have to do with the championships. So first, we have the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State University traveling to Conway, Arkansas to play the Fighting Will Silers on the Stripes.
Let me say something, because we picked these games, or Rev picked these games, because we think they could affect the playoff picture. We don't know.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And if there was a Rev rant, I wish it was that we have no idea if these games affect it or not.
Well, so
can I say something?
Yeah.
Dustin has the audacity to get mad at people who are like, I don't know how the hell this is playing out. This is a joke. And we don't even know here how the hell this is going to work out.
Well, so here's how it plays out, because if UCA wins, then here's how it plays out. Then we have a 3-way tie in the ASUN. And so when it comes to the ASUN, it's going to come down.
UCA loses.
No, I thought it's if you won.
If we win it outright.
All right, sorry, yeah. So if they win, they do win outright. If they lose, which I don't know if they're going to lose or not, then that's where it gets really muddled in the ASUN. The SFA ACU game is just going to decide the WAC champion. And if ACU wins it, ACU is going to get the AQ because they have everything else. If SFA wins it, then it's going to come down to that damn power poll, because everything else like record against and countable games, things like that, will be even with the ASUN schools, no matter who comes out of that side of it. So I do know what I'm talking about. Wish everybody else listens to me. And
here's the thing. I think no matter what happens, if UCA wins, then the winner of the WAC would get it, not because of a power ranking, though. It would be a countable record, because your countable record would be 5-2 at that point. UCA's would be 6-4 because you played 3 non-counters.
That's true.
So now that's if they did that. But you know what I can also see is the ASUN and the WAC getting together and being like, okay, it makes complete sense if we use the head-to-head, considering one of these schools beat the other by 4 touchdowns a week ago. So I could see that happening too. And that's why I say, like, I don't know, is because I don't trust either conference to like stick to their guns and be like, yeah, we said we were going to do this, so we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I can see them being like, well, it just makes more sense.
Yeah. And I mean, but let's be honest, Abilene Christian, they're pretty poised to take care of it. But let's talk about JSU UCA. Will, I'll let you go last because I know you're not going to pick against UCA. Brandon, let's start with you.
JSU, after last week, beating the top-rated team in the ASUN WAC and beating them pretty handily, I feel a little bit more confident going into this game. I don't think it'll be a blowout loss because it's at UCA and it's tough to play on the Stripes. So I think it's going to be a lot closer. I'm going to say probably a 1-possession game. So I'm picking JSU.
Brendan, you have any thoughts?
I like UCA at home just because I know that everybody struggles on the Stripes.
There's that slip up.
They get distracted.
Everybody does struggle with the strippers. That's
their real secret. They're sending strippers to the hotel prior that the opposing team's staying at, and they're like, "Oh, it's this field. The Stripes are getting them. Nothing else."
Whew. But there's no denial from Will, so I mean that could be true. No, I don't know.
I'm not telling you what the specialists did on Saturday night or on Friday nights.
Here's the problem with this game is that it's been with UCA because UCA they're a really damn good team, but you don't know which UCA is going to show up sometimes, and you don't know if their defense is going to step up and play great and limit a team to 7 points, or if they're going to get in a shootout with Lindenwood. You don't know if the special teams is gonna make it a game or if they're gonna lose to Missouri State based upon special team scores. So you don't know. I'm gonna lean with Jacksonville State, but I think it'll be a close game. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if UCA wins. To be honest with you, but In terms of picking for our standings, I'm gonna stay if they were. I'm gonna say if they're. I'm gonna bet with Brandon basically to help pad the standings here.
You should have to pick first, so that way he's got a chance to come up. This is
Don't
garbage.
worry, I'm gonna pick first in the last one. Will, are you? I mean, I know who you're picking already.
So
do you have anything you want to say about the game?
Here's my only concern. Jacksonville State runs the ball very effectively. We gave up, let's see, I think it was 185 on the ground SFA, which Miles Reed can run the ball, but he's not a world beater. I would take LaRoche over him from Jacksonville State. Eastern Kentucky ran for 230. North Alabama ran for, I saw 456. That was us. 278. It's almost 280. And then, I mean, if you go to Kennesaw, it's going to be different. I actually think we held Kennesaw, to 181. So we've given up over 150 on the ground, over 175 on the ground for a month straight. And so that makes me nervous because if we can't get Jacksonville State off the field, then it's hard to win. But we've also seen like teams like Southeastern Louisiana do it. And so I think we can do anything Southeastern Louisiana can do. So I don't know. Darius Hale was clearly not 100% in Nacogdoches. He played, I think, 5 or 6 snaps and was slow on all of them. So, but then again, Kylan James stepped in, had like 280 all-purpose yards. So obviously we've got, a certified dude backing him up. So I think it really comes down to can we stop the run or not? And when I say stop the run, you're not going to, make them run for less than 150, but can you – I think if we can keep them under like 240, 250, which sounds like a lot, but I think if you can keep them under 250, they rushed for like 350 last week. Mm-hmm. And even in games we've won by 30 points, we've given up 225 on the ground. Yep. And so I think that's the magic number is anywhere from 240, 250. You keep them under it. I think it's a game. If you let them get up over 300, I think you could see a lopsided game. So that's just my opinion because I think they could control the ball, control the time of possession. And our offense is really good, but if we're not on the field, we can't score. So that's my diagnosis. So hopefully we can. I think we can. I think it'd be really interesting if we got to 6-5 and made the ASUN. And I really hope we win, and I really hope SFA wins, which I've never hoped SFA won in my life. But I hope they do.
What a nice segue. What a nice segue. It's like you host this thing sometimes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so the last game, it is the CNF Austin Lumberjacks traveling to Abilene to play Abilene Christian Wildcats at their lovely new stadium that they just started playing in the past couple of years. It's a nice little facility. And this one is for the WAC championship, straight out. They've already played once this year. SFA won on the wildest ending to a game you probably would ever see. Brendan, I don't know if you saw it or heard about it, but Abilene Christian's driving. They kick a field goal. It falls short. Xavier Gibson, our fastest player, grabs it, runs it back to midfield, gets horse collared as time expires. So SFA basically gets a free play with no time. Campos kicks a 53-yard field goal. SFA wins. Craziest ending, craziest last like 10 seconds of a game you'll ever see. But now here's the difference between those games. Now, one of the teams has actually looked really good since then, and it's not Stephen F. Austin. Abilene Christian has they basically just, I want to say steamrolled because they haven't, but they have just consistently managed to move the ball and consistently managed to score in every game. They went up to the sorting center in Grand Forks and hung in with UND, and lost, I think, was 37-34. So as much as I love my team, I'm a realist. Based off what I saw last week against UCA, when SFA had an opportunity to make sure they still had any sort of playoff hope, and they came out, flat. I don't see them going to Abilene and being hyped. I think Abilene Christian wins this, and I think Abilene Christian wins it pretty big, to be honest with you. And SFA will end their season at 5-6. Abilene Christian will win the WAC and win the WACSUN auto AQ, and they will make their first appearance in the playoffs.
Brendan, go.
Oh yeah, Brendan, you go.
All right, I'll go. So I do know too a little bit about both these teams. I know that neither's defense is out of this world, but I have a lot more faith in Abilene Christian's offense to be consistent and put up more points than Stephen F. Austin's, unfortunately, Rev. So especially with it being at ACU, so I'm going to take Abilene Christian.
Will?
I hate to say it, but I think Carthel's lost the locker room. I don't know that there's still a whole lot of like juice left in those guys, and just being in a locker room, that's a dangerous situation. When you lose a locker room, you lose games 34-7 at home. So yeah, I mean, I can't pick against Abilene Christian. So give me the Wildcats.
Brandon.
I'm looking at everything on offense and on defense, and Stephen F. Austin actually is ahead of Abilene Christian on every category for offense, and then Abilene leads SFA in defense except for passing yards allowed. Abilene is undefeated at home. If this was at SFA, I would pick SFA.
Those 14 guys have a really big home field advantage. I mean, they are loud.
They get loud.
But I have to go with Abilene. As
technically, you have to go with SFA to get in.
Yeah, you picking for pride or catch him?
Well, so here's the thing: if he picks SFA, then I think and will somehow manage to give up his right
again if I pick.
And there is a punishment in Frisco that is yet to be worked out. So yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm sitting pretty. I mean, so it's Brandon's. It's Brandon's if he wants to just go for pride or if he wants to go for glory. It's fourth down. You're gonna go for the tying field goal or you're gonna go for the win.
You're gonna go for the win.
What are you gonna do, Mike McCarthy? What are you gonna do?
You know what? Jamie has always said that he's admired coaches that go for the win, and I agree with him. So I'm picking SFA.
Wow!
Look at you go! Wow. Look at you go!
Love the moxie. I love the moxie. I think you're wrong, but I love the moxie.
And we waited until Jamie went to bed for that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was like, you didn't have to talk nice to Jamie.
He'll see it later. See it later.
Another thing too that makes me pick against SFA, even if SFA hadn't been the way they were last week, it is very, very hard to beat a team twice in the same season. Very hard to do, and that doesn't bode well. So that's it, guys. We've been doing this for an hour and a half live. And why? You guys might ask yourself, why did we go live, and why did we bring in Brendan?
So I can address this slander. First off, I'm whooping Ben's ass this year in the picks. Okay, I'm beating him like a redheaded stepchild. I don't need these picks.
The question for someone who hasn't, if you guys for some reason aren't watching this live and you catch up on the on Apple or Spotify, sorry because we haven't read all the comments and we suck at that. We'll do better next week when we talk about that show. But the question is, Brendan, are these bonus picks to gain on Ben this week? So for those of you who don't know, this is a great time to plug the FCS Fans Nation. Brendan's from another podcast. He's not an SFA guy. Obviously, if you couldn't tell that by his background. Yeah, he is part of one of the two podcasts for South Dakota State. Part of the whole Jackrabbit Illustrated splitting hair, whatever that whole. Is it Jackrabbit? Huh? Yeah, there's three. There's a third one. There is a third one because
technically five. We have wrestling and basketball.
We're talking football right now.
But anyway, I digress.
We're talking to foosball. So but they've got the A team, which is with Matt and Dallas and Chad coming in strong. They've got the B team with Brendan and Ben and Chad again Apparently, Chad's a podcast tour. What the hell? And then they've got the new one with Kyle and what's it, Stacks and
Thomas Stacker. Yep.
Yeah,
he played defensive end for us last year, and obviously 4 years prior to that.
And they go live on Friday afternoons, like at lunchtime, to preview games. I don't know what they're going to do this week. I guess they could talk playoff things. So, but anyway, the point is, FCS Fans Nation, if you aren't liking and subscribing on YouTube, you're missing out on a plethora of podcasts that talk about all sorts of FCS content. You know, you got Kyler doing the Eagles Power Hour, doing it solo this year. You got the Fight on Montana boys doing their stuff. They had Big Sky. There's Big Sky Big Takes for a bit. There was the Jay and Keith show that does Eastern Tennessee. You have Brandon's other podcast, Cocky Nation, but that's an FBS podcast, so we don't care. So we don't care. Sorry, Cody, for keeping you awake. Not sorry. You're FBS now. But no, and then you had the Big Boy show. All these great things. The other reason why we're live is because next week there will be 2 live podcasts coming to you on the FCS Fans Nation show or page. One of them will be the Selection Sunday show done by Jamie, Kyler, and Mr. Frazee. I should actually put him first because he is the boss. But the podfather, if you will, for us. But they will be going live during Selection Sunday. So you can, I think it's 11:15 Central, 12:15 East Coast. But you can watch the picks with them, listen to their analysis instead of listening to folks on ESPN who don't know what they're talking about. Wow. There you go. And then
his picture there kills me.
I know.
It's so weird.
So weird.
He does a wrestling podcast too.
Chad, who we talked about, A-Team and B-Team, said that wife just heard that and said she agrees, said that I'm a podcast whore. So, whore. Anyway, so the other reason besides that live show is that Sunday night we're going to have what we're calling the Mega Live Show, where we have.
Well, that's what you called it.
I can't name a better name. We're not. We could still technically call it the Jack Off Whack Off, but I want to. But here's the thing: I'm going to open it up to any of the FCS Fans Nation podcasters who want to come on, and it's going to be our Mega Live show to talk about the playoffs. So you'll have us, you'll have folks from the A team. Hopefully, you'll have. I know Brendan will be there from the B team. And hopefully Ben shows up as well. I think Dallas said from the A team he's definitely going to be there. You know, if the Fight on Montana boys want to come on live. If anybody who wants to come on live and talk, we're going to talk playoffs. It'll be fun to, especially as the games are out, we have a little bit of afternoon to look at the games, look at the seeds, and hopefully drop some hot takes in there. So be sure to check that out. We'll get that scheduled sometime this week. So it'll show up on your YouTube subscription. So you'll know it's there, but that's it. A lot of
people.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Brendan, since you're our guest, man, I know I've said about B team, but there's anything you want to add or close us out with, let's hear it. I know you have a fun week of nothing because SCSU's on a bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna be just kicking back and relaxing. I was pretty upset about this bye at the end of the season. For the team, I guess it's kind of working out now, but I'm still not too thrilled with it. I think it's led to some of our injuries. But I'm just sitting back with my feet up, getting relaxed, watching football. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. It's been an honor. Thank you. And other than that, go Jacks, baby. That's all I got.
Nice. Well, man, we appreciate you having on. You guys have been a big, sort of supporter of us this year by announcing us, and you did help us become South Dakota State's, favorite podcast over Jack.
You're welcome.
Just
I'm 100% the one who brought that up. You're 100% the reason that I'm 100% the reason that got out. You're welcome.
It had nothing to do with Matt. It was all Brendan. We know the truth. Anyways, on behalf of Will and Brandon, I'm your boy, the Rev. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us this week. We will see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe.